One of the veterans who went through that and who's featured in this movie is Marcus Capone. He's a highly decorated Navy SEAL who struggled with PTSD after returning from Afghanistan. He joins us now. Marcus, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for your service.
Yeah, thanks, Elizabeth. Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.
You bet.
It's great to be here. Yes.
So you went through, you tried everything. You tried years, trying antidepressants, you went to brain clinics. Finally, you tried Ibogaine. Talk us through that experience, especially when they say it's panic-inducing and terrifying. What was that like?
Yeah, well, it's a really subjective experience. So what one person experiences, the next person may not. Really, kind of how much, I would say, garbage you have, underneath everything. For me, my experience was in 2017, as you mentioned. I was on traditional approaches to care for many years. I had been to the brain clinics. I had been on antidepressants for almost 7 years. I'd been on mood stabilizers, and really, I was not getting better. I was actually getting worse. And they, I wish back then they would have called it what we're calling it now, which is treatment-resistant mental health, meaning the pharmaceuticals that we have available to us cannot respond. And about 50% of us that are struggling with mental health issues will never respond to the
50%?
typical pharmacotherapy. Almost 50% in many populations will not respond to antidepressants and traditional talk therapy. So for me, this was a lifeline. And, I grew up in New York playing ball, going to Catholic school. So when I was approached by my wife, Amber, about psychedelic treatment, this was really uncomfortable. It was odd. It was, it was hippie. It was recreational. It was everything I kind of grew up understanding what psychedelic drugs were. But I didn't know that their intended use was for mental health, for spiritual growth. People have been using them for thousands of years without any recreational use. And so it took me some time to get comfortable knowing that something that I thought was so stigmatized could actually help me, especially when I'd been on this path, quote unquote, path to healing for so many years.
Yeah, was there a moment while you were on this, I don't know, this hallucinogenic where you felt a shift?
Yes, we'll call it a medicine because it is a medicine.
Okay.
It can be used as a drug. It's Schedule 1 in the U.S., which means we have to travel to places like Mexico and Costa Rica and others. 100%, Elizabeth, there was a huge shift. The drug lasts for a couple hours. It's not a pleasant journey. You revisit. It's almost like a life history of really a life review from when you were born potentially to modern times. You revisit potentially a lot of traumas that are affecting your everyday life, and you actually deal with them. It gets to the root cause, which modern medicine really puts Band-Aid fixes on many things. For me,
go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. No, I was saying for me, which 7 years of struggle almost got, I would say, cleaned up within a few hours. And then, of course, putting in the proper integration work with a therapist after the experience is almost more important than taking the drug itself. But this really gets to the root cause of the issue, which is what a therapist is trying to do for potentially many years. It takes that and it potentially puts that into a single night.
Yeah, you say that after you took it, that you realized for the first time that what happened to you in Afghanistan or in other traumatic parts of your life, that it wasn't your fault. And I know we see, in the movies, therapists saying it's not your fault, but it took taking this medicine for you to suddenly, all of a sudden, realize that, and that must have been an enormous burden to have lifted.
Everything lifted off. When I came out of this experience, I felt like the world, the weight of the world was on my shoulders going into this experience. I felt like everything just lifted off. I felt lighter. I felt happier. I felt like I had no anxiety. And, I was in the emergency room prior to that with anxiety attacks. I almost feel like I was having a heart attack. So these medicines are really powerful. We have to remember these need to be regulated. They need to be clinician guided with full medical support. When done properly, they are, in my opinion, and many others, are going to be the future of mental health care. We need these additional tools to help the individuals that are coming back from overseas. Again, I'm one story of so many. I just decided to speak out about it, but I have so many friends that we are helping go through the same treatment that are not being treated correctly through the current system. Yeah.
We have 17 veterans who die by suicide every day in this country from untreated PTSD, depression, anxiety. There's a real need to do something more. The VA is currently studying, ayahuasca, MDMA, psilocybin. Is Ibogaine in the same category? Is it different from those sort of hallucinogenics?
It's in a similar category, and we can almost be here for hours, but it's different. There are different classifications of these drugs. Ibogaine is considered technically an onerogen. It doesn't have hallucinatory effects like some of the others. The way that you actually feel the effects of the medicine, you put blindfolders on. So basically, you have eye shades on. You lie down. You're in bed. You're hooked up to a heart monitor. So it's a very medicalized treatment. When the eye shade's going on and the drug hits your system, that's when you have these life experiences. And so what you're able to do is revisit experiences that may have affected you, and you're able to look at them in a different way. And that's why I said, it wasn't my fault for many years. I had to go through some childhood adversity, you go through some wartime adversity, and when it seems to all fall apart when you transition out, is you don't have the community, you don't have the brotherhood, you don't have that passion, purpose, mission, drive anymore. And everything comes falling down. This drug just seems to show you everything from a different perspective, and you're able to almost work out psychotherapy, just going through the treatment. It's remarkable how it works. I'm not a doctor, but I can tell you now, just through our nonprofit Vets, we have funded now over 1,200 veterans over the last 6 years to receive the same treatment.
Wow.
And we get about 10 times that amount in applications. We just don't have the resources. There's not enough vetted providers. Again, we shouldn't be sending people outside the country to receive life-saving treatment.
Marcus Capone, thank you so much for your service to this country. Thank you for all you're doing to help other veterans who still struggle. Let's hope more of them get the help they not only need, but completely and 100% deserve. Thank you so much. Happy Veterans Day.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.